Right, so what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel in this week's video. Today I've got a back workout for you. I'm going to be taking you through what I am doing to grow my back, namely growing my mid back and my lats. This will be the main objective of this back workout, as you'll see by the multitude of rowing patterns and arm positioning, which I'll cover obviously as we go through the video. But before we start, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do enjoy this video, make sure you go leave a like and check out some of my older videos. But without further ado, we'll crack on. Right, as you can see, we're starting with pull-ups. I do a 4x, aiming for 15. As you can see, I'm keeping my scapula pinned down. So in layman's terms, I'm pushing my shoulder blades together, not letting them relax, so that I can keep as much tension as possible on the lats and the upper back, of course, when I start to arch, when I get close to failure, but namely on the lats. Keep as much tension on the lats as possible, not letting the traps elevate, not letting the shoulder blades, the scapula relax, keeping it pinned back to maximize the stimulus that we're placing on the back and the lats in particular. So I do one body weight. I'm at an all-time high body weight. As of recording this video, I'm around 98, 99 kilos right now. So for the purpose of maintaining quality execution and quality reps, rather than just throwing myself up and dropping back into the hole again, I've implemented a resistance band, only a purple one, so minimal resistance. Just helps to get out of that hole so that I can really control the eccentric coming down, take a nice 3 seconds lengthening process so that I can keep constant tension on the muscle throughout the entirety of the movement, particularly in the changes of direction. So at the bottom, I'm not releasing tension on the lats and then going again. I'm keeping it all tight and continuous. Also, just to give me that little bit of help out of the bottom of the movement, so that I can get more reps and good quality reps as a result. Coming up, having a big squeeze at the top when the muscle is short, and in the lengthening phase on the eccentric, we're not coming like this, trying to keep my elbows as tucked as possible, not flaring them out. So I'm not trying to incorporate much of the upper back and the rear delts. I'm trying to keep as much tension as possible on the lats. Next, got deadlifts. I start off with one plate, as you can see. I did 20 reps of that, and then for the rest of the pyramid, all 4 reps. Then we go to five plates. I just did a feeder with 5 plates, just a 1 rep, because I wanted to try and test out my strength, because the first time I've done like a 1 rep max lift in a long time. Smelling salts out, ready to go. 240. I did 230 for 4 in the previous week, so I thought I'd just try and do the jump, see if I can get a couple reps. I got the first rep relatively easy, not easy at all, but relatively easy. I couldn't get a second, and then I tried to show off and do 6 plates. It just wasn't happening this week. So we've got the T-bar row. This is my upper back targeting movement. So as you can see, my elbows are not completely flared, but more flared out than in the pull-ups, for example. This is shifting the focus off of the lats and more to the upper back, the rhomboids, rear delts, and the traps as well. Obviously, the lats will still be doing a little part of the movement, but we're trying to isolate the upper back as much as possible. Same again here, 4 sets. This time, 10 reps is the aim, pyramid and up, same as usual. What I'm really focusing on doing is a little bit of thoracic extension, so a little bit rounding of the upper back, just to stretch it out as much as possible, not letting my shoulders come forward, but rolling over my back to stretch the upper back, not stretching through the arms, and then retracting my scapula and then putting the movement back. So as we move on to my top sit here, I chucked another little biscuit on a 2.5. I'm going to go for an all-time heaviest today. As you can see, I'm not letting my shoulders take me down. I'm coming down with the movement and rounding my back a little bit to extend the range of motion before driving the weight up. Okay, so we're moving on to our fourth exercise of the workout, which is a single arm extreme prime row. What I'm trying to do here as much as possible is imitate a dumbbell row. There's a spider hanging off the ceiling. So you can see the positioning of my body as if I was holding onto the dumbbell rack and rowing the dumbbell. But what this machine allows me to do is allows me to execute this movement in the best possible movement pattern, so I can adjust myself on the machine to make sure I'm really driving into the hip. I'm not just driving the weight up like this. I'm really driving down into my hip, trying to engage the lats as much as possible. And of course, this is a bit of prime kit. We've adjusted the resistance profile to match the strength profile of the lat. The lat is at its strongest in the extended position, and as you drive the movement inwards, as the muscle gets shorter, it becomes weaker. So therefore, we've got more of the tension at the beginning range where it's stretched, and then as we get weaker, the weight begins to drop off, so we can match that strength profile with the amount of weight that is on the machine. 4 sets of this movement, 3 sets being 10 reps, pyramiding up, and then the top set aiming for 10 to 15 reps. And then once I hit 15, I'll take the low progression. Trying to crunch into my lat as much as possible, putting all the weight on the side that I'm lifting with. This is a good bit of advice. If you're rowing on a machine, single arm, make sure you put your weight on the side you're lifting with, so it'll stop you twisting as much. And for those that want to maintain a tight, slim waist and don't want those thick obliques making you look like a human fridge, minimizing twisting at the hip as much as possible is only going to keep that waist tighter and improve the X-frame of your physique. Furthermore, if you want to negate or minimize as much muscle imbalance as possible, you do want to have some single arm movements in your workout, as everyone, no matter who you are, one side is going to be stronger than the other. Therefore, if you're only doing dual arm movements, you're not giving your weaker or less dominant side the ability to move the weight at its full capacity, as you're going to automatically rely more on your dominant side to move the weight. Even if one side is not weaker than the other, you're definitely going to connect better with your dominant side than you are with your other side. So fifth and final rowing movement is my favorite machine, is the prime row, the seated row, chest supported row. Again, 4 sets of aiming for 10 reps here. We've already exhausted the length and range, so I've shifted more of the weight onto the mid range. Although I mentioned before about the strength profile of the lat, what you do not want to be doing is hammering the same exercise, the same movement pattern, the same part of the movement, and neglecting the other part of the movement. If I only train in the length and range, I'm going to struggle to get out of that length and range and get the muscle fully short when it comes to this exercise. Therefore, by allowing the weight to get a bit heavier in the mid range, I can get out of that hole now, drive the weight back, and challenge the muscle more in the shortening phase, the concentric phase of the movement. My seat positioning and my arm path are designed to, again, put more focus on the lat. As I explained at the beginning of the video, I am really focusing on developing my lats through my back training, as my back is a lot more upper back dominant at the start of the off season. So we've worked to bring those lats up to catch up with my upper back and really bring a thick back for my first season on the stage. So what I've done is I've raised the seat up high so that the natural positioning of the machine aligns more towards the hip rather than higher up the body, which will shift more of the tension to the upper back muscles, which is great. But I've done my upper back work, touched that up on the T-bar row, and I'm really focusing on trying to thicken my lats and my mid back on this movement. That being said, this is why I try to keep my elbows tucked more towards my body rather than let them flare out again, trying to shift as much tension as possible onto the lats and provide much stimulus for the lats and the mid back. What this machine also has, it has a little drop off point as you get to peak extension. So as you're letting the weight come down, there's a little drop off point where the weight goes down like this. So you want to spend a little bit of time in that position, just as it provides a really good stretch. Like I said, with a T-bar row, you want to round your upper back a little bit at peak eccentric as you get into that lengthened position without letting your shoulders come too far forward, as this takes the tension off of the lats and brings it more onto your delts. Keep yourself tight, and then scapular retraction, so pinning your shoulder blades back as you pull the weight. This will really put emphasis onto your back rather than pulling through your arms. Another execution tip for rowing movements when you want to shift the focus lower down your back is to drop your traps. Minimize their contribution to the movement. You want to push them down. This will also help you to drive your elbow towards the hip, as it's going to be harder to do so with your traps flexed in the shrug position. Last movement for the back workout, I've got some pull downs, supinated-ish. That's how the Panatta machine is designed. This is a muscle round technique, so I'll do 6 rounds of 6 reps. So I'll do 6 reps, 15-second break, 6 reps for a total of 6 rounds. On that 6th round, I'll do a triple drop set. So I'll get rep 6, relax. If I can get more, I'll get more, because it's the final stage of the muscle round, but by this point, you will not be able to get more in terms of quality reps. I did 3 plates, so 60 kilos, and I dropped to 2.5, 50 kilos. Did as many reps as possible. I think I got 10 or 11 here, and I dropped again to 40 kilos, so 2 plates, and got as many as I could again. I think around 15 to 17 reps. Did that all on one side and then repeated the same on the other side. My tips for the pull down movements, especially a single arm movement, are very similar to the rowing movement, as we are aiming to grow the lats in both of those movement patterns. Dropping the traps. Like I said in the pull-ups, you don't want to let your traps elevate, as it will shift the focus off of the lat onto the traps and the delts. Keep yourself tight. Like I said in the rowing movement, you want to kind of crunch down on that side that you're working on, shift your weight onto that side as well to minimize the twisting at the hip, which will obviously reduce momentum and save your waistline in the future, giving you that better X-frame. Then you want to use your elbows to drive the movement down. You don't want to be pulling through your wrist and using your forearms and biceps. You want to be pulling through your elbow, driving down into that hip, into that pocket as they call it, and trying to keep that movement continuous. Don't spend that 3 to 5 seconds in that lengthened position, as you're likely going to relax the lat rather than keep constant tension. Get those quality reps in, keep a consistent movement, and that is that. So we're moving on to the posing now. I thought I'd give you a little physique update. I was around 98 kilos as of doing this. I think 2 days after I weighed at 98.2, so I'd say around the high 97s to 98 kg here. Waist is still looking good, vacuums are still pulling. Bearing in mind I've drunk about 2 litres of water at this point, and I have the post-workout bloat, as you call it. Back is coming up nicely, we're growing. That back double will hopefully be filled in over the next coming weeks, and over the duration of prep when we shift some of that fat off my lower back. Get some of that detailed back, show some of the improvements that we've made, and hopefully have a good debut season, my final year as a junior, although it's my first year. Okay, so that is that for the training. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, like I said before, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help to grow this channel. Click notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Share this video to a friend. Help me get me out there to all your mates and help them to grow a better back. But that is going to end the video for this week. I hope you did enjoy, and I'll catch you all next week. I'm out.